All right, mortgages. All right, so a mortgage is a loan that is secured by property. That just means that the bank gives you money, and the guarantee that you'll pay back that money is the house. So if you don't pay back your mortgage, the bank gets your house. Mortgages are large loans, and the money is generally borrowed over a large amount of time. So usually a mortgage is 15, 20, 25, even as high as 30 or 40 years. The amortization period is the actual number of years it will take to repay your entire mortgage, and it's generally between 15 and 30 years. Okay, so the principal is the amount of money you borrow. Initially, it is the difference between the selling price and the down payment. So if you buy a $200,000 house, but you have, let's say, $25,000 to put down as a down payment, well, you take away that $25,000. So the principal that you're borrowing is $175,000. That's your principal, because it's the difference between the two. Now, typically you're not allowed to borrow money for the down payment on your house, so you must have something of your own to put up. As they deregulated in the United States, and they were trying to do this in Canada, there was a little while there where you could actually buy a house with no down payment. And they're saying, some analysts believe that that's the main reason why we had such a big economic crisis, a big meltdown, was because all these homes were being bought with almost no or no down payment. And what that meant was homeowners had almost no equity. That term's going to come up right away, but they didn't own anything in their house. And when the market turned worse, they all just looked at their houses, looked at their mortgages, and they walked away from them because it didn't cost them anything as far as equity. It cost them as credit rating, but not equity. So that was part of the financial crisis, and that's why most banks and most regulators, like government regulators, require that you have some form of down payment. All right, a little more vocabulary. Interest is the amount of money that you're going to pay to borrow the money, and mortgage payment is a regular installment or payment, usually made up of principal and interest. And we're going to explore that a little bit. We're going to look at how each monthly mortgage payment can be divided into how much goes to the bank and how much goes against your actual loan. The term is the length of time that a specific mortgage agreement covers, generally between 6 months and 10 years. Now, in our class, we're going to look at terms of 25 years, typically, or 20 or 15. But we're going to assume that the terms stay the same while we're doing our calculations. In reality, every few years, depending on the term of your contract, you actually have to go and kind of renegotiate your mortgage or renew your mortgage. And that's just so that the banks can adjust for changing interest rates. All right. No bank is going to probably offer 25-year fixed-term mortgages. It just doesn't happen. But for the purposes of our calculations, just to make it easier, we're going to look at basically just fixed terms. So when the term expires, you need to renegotiate the terms of your mortgage. So equity is the term you need to be very familiar with. It's the value of the property over and above what you owe for it. So if we look back at this example, $200,000 house, you had a down payment of $25,000, you owe $175,000. So your house is worth $200,000 and you owe $175,000, you have $25,000 in equity. This would be your equity in the house. So when you first buy a home, you typically have very little equity because not a lot of people have a lot of money to put into their house. They have their down payment, if they're lucky, maybe a little extra. And then every payment you make the principal amount is added to your equity. So you take your mortgage payment, you divide it into the principal amount and the interest amount. The principal amount gets added to your equity, so you own that much more of your house.
Sorry, items what you already paid, right?